We are going to be hearing now, and again, this links in very, very nicely with what Lleucu was just setting out there. We're going to be hearing further from young people on the impact the pandemic is having on the environment and on them. And to introduce, there are a couple of recorded contributions. I'll hand back over to Ollie.
Thanks so much for that introduction. And just to reiterate the importance and how much we value our partnership with Literature Wales on a number of areas related to mental health, but particularly this area as well. And I think what you mentioned earlier about cross-sector approaches, and we're richer for working with Literature Wales on this agenda. So thanks for that introduction, and just to highlight the individuals who contribute and the young people. So earlier this morning, you'd have heard from Professor Ahuja and Gemma Johns from TEC Cymru about the work they've been undertaking. Now, a lot of their work is informed by a youth advisory panel. It's 14 to 18-year-olds right across the breadth of Wales who are so involved in this work, and inevitably when they've been looking at what's important to them and the role of digital within society and communities and services, the environment has been massively high on their agenda. And throughout COVID, they've been undertaking research. We're delighted that they've recorded a few contributions today. And enough from me, and I'm going to hand over to a short recorded video, but just to introduce Abbie and Ebony from Brynteg School and Ansh from the Cathedral School.
Hello. I believe that due to the recent pandemic, the population have become much more aware and self-conscious of the rapid increase of environmental impacts, such as plastic pollution. I believe that this impact has been mainly carried out through the high usage of lateral flow tests. Although these tests are extremely beneficial due to the control of the spread of the virus, there has been a huge issue due to the lack of the ability to recycle these tests thoroughly. From the 30th of March 2021, secondary schools and college pupils became eligible for twice-a-week lateral flow testing. This was closely followed by the requirement of employees to complete a test twice a week. This was a very beneficial requirement as it prevented any spread of the virus by forcing anyone who tested positive to isolate for 14 days or until the virus had left their system. However, due to this high usage of tests, this led to a significant amount of plastic waste. The initial recycling process of these tests was extremely difficult, through methods such as incineration. However, there has been many solutions to solve this issue. For example, a UK-based recycling business named Reworked has worked to offer a solution to the plastic waste problem associated with lateral flow tests by providing an innovative recycling process which has become hugely beneficial as it works to ensure plastic pollution and harmful waste is significantly reduced. So far, the service is available to schools, workplaces and individuals using large amounts of tests in a way that is considered non-clinical. Considering the significant usage of these tests, this campaign will be enormously helpful and has already improved the environmental impact of lateral flow tests. The campaign claimed the hashtag #ReclaimTheTest, which sells personal protective equipment recycling boxes, also known as PPE boxes, which have previously been used to collect single-use face masks, gloves and visors, and is now used to also collect lateral flow rapid tests. The tests are pressed into 100% recyclable plastic boards, which can be reused and utilised to make bins, children's chairs, outdoor furniture and building materials. Luckily, these lateral flow tests are not considered infectious waste, as even if the test gives a positive result, there will be no need to double bag or store for 72 hours, reducing any unnecessary overconsumption of plastic. Overall, although these lateral flow tests can be seen as a negative due to the high use of plastic resulting in consequences such as plastic pollution, the efforts to ensure that these are not considered as infectious waste paired with a reworked recyclable campaign means that these tests are not negatively impacting on the environment. Thank you.
Whilst packaging is important in many circumstances in terms of protecting a product and keeping the goods intact, it has many severe side effects which impact the environment negatively. Wasteful and excess packaging can contribute to air pollution and global warming in a variety of different ways. Due to the pandemic, the majority of people are purchasing goods online, therefore increasing the amount of packaging needed in order to deliver the parcels to the customers. The average number of parcels delivered daily skyrocketed during the pandemic, meaning the protection and assurance requirements have become extremely important in order to assure no goods are damaged. This has resulted in packaging becoming excessively large and unnecessarily big for the product purchased. This means that the mass of packaging has increased, additionally contributing to landfill, and less packaging is recycled by customers. Taking on board these arguments, it's clear to see that packaging is an essential in order to protect the product. However, packaging must be reduced in order to match the size of the product, decreasing the overall amount of packaging. Before the pandemic, many companies who required the use of packaging were taking steps forward in terms of making their packaging 100% recyclable and sustainable. However, many concerns began to arise on the hygiene and safety of reusable packaging, causing companies to come to a halt with these improvements. This meant that packaging that wasn't fully recyclable would end up in landfill, causing harm to the environment in terms of destroying habitats. Furthermore, packaging is bad for the environment as it contributes to air pollution due to packages having to be delivered via vehicles. However, due to the coronavirus pandemic, overall air quality has improved and air pollution has decreased. This is because buildings such as factories were ordered to close, and therefore the amount of overall carbon dioxide and other harmful toxins emitted were far less. This caused delivery vans to be the main contributor to air pollution. The reason for this is that online shopping has become more popular as a consequence of the pandemic, meaning there's been a severe increase in demand for delivery drivers to meet consumer demand. This has resulted in an increase in CO2 emissions and air pollution for these delivery vehicles. This is an issue affecting the environment, as people before would use alternative methods in order to receive their deliveries, such as walking or cycling. However, due to the stay-at-home order given out, people have been unable to do this, resulting in delivery vans being the main source of receiving your goods. Listening to both arguments, it's clear to see that delivery should continue to be used, as they're a huge convenience for many. However, if people have the ability to receive their parcels in different ways, such as walking to their designated post office in order to collect their delivery, then these methods should be used as often as possible in order to try and decrease the air pollution levels. Thank you.
Hello. During the pandemic, many restrictions have been put into place in order to stop the spread of COVID-19, one including reducing human contact. This has been significant in the use of deliveries as it provides a quick, easy transport which doesn't require leaving your home. Research has also been proved that all age gaps have increased the frequency of the use of deliveries for not only clothing websites but also food shops. These points have impacted the environment massively, as overall it has reduced the amount of CO2 emissions entering the atmosphere, as only one use of transport is being used in order to retrieve goods, whereas normally millions would be. Additionally, the use of meal deliveries has also improved the environment. This is due to the fact that the alternative to meal deliveries is driving to the shops and buying individually plastic wrapped products, whereas meal deliveries normally come in a separate recyclable box, overall reducing the amount of plastic being used, which the burning of will contribute to global warming. An example of this service is HelloFresh, which in the pandemic increased their customer base massively, which in return proves how beneficial it's been to the environment in terms of the number of cars on the road. Furthermore, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused massive changes to everyone's daily life, including working from home. This has therefore obviously reduced the amount of vehicles on the road, resulting in the decrease of toxic substances being released. For example, there's been a rapid decrease in the amount of people using public transport, such as buses and trains. There's a huge fear of catching the virus. Therefore, people are turning to their personal transport as a result. Although this might be seen as a negative, as overall it's resulting in more vehicles being on the road, therefore more CO2 emissions, it could be turned into a positive, as the 5-mile rule was put into place, resulting in more people being conscious of whether their journey is truly essential and the fear of being stopped and questioned. Overall, these points have proved that the consequences the pandemic has caused has come with benefits in terms of impacting the environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ansh, to Ebony and to Abbie. We'll be working with all three to get those reports and that research published and issued, but it's been fantastic that they've undertaken that work throughout COVID and committed and presented their video abstracts so well this morning, so this afternoon even. Just to introduce the second video now with a slightly wider age group of participants. So we work very closely with TEC Cymru, and as I said, they have a youth advisory panel, but this time around they've been speaking to people as young as 2 about their feelings and their thoughts about how COVID and how the restrictions particularly have impacted their views on the environment. So
drop rubbish.
No people was there where?
At the beach, drop rubbish.
Less people were going around, which kept natural habitats intact, so they weren't being destroyed, and wildlife was living freely.
Obviously, like, he's getting loads of people, but it's not as much people going out. So it reduces the gases in the air, like from cars. Better.
Why do you think it's better?
The sea's nice.
The sea's nice now, is it?
Yeah. And turtles can go on the beaches now because there's not much people around to distract them.
How?
Because there's less plastic in the sea because no one's allowed out. Lockdown.
Lockdown.
They're at home, not wasting as much food, and also in light of the recent Free School Meals campaign, people are a lot more conscious about the food they're wasting and the effect it has on the environment.
And less people are going on holiday, so not so many flights and not so many tourists, so less rubbish and pollution from their cars.
Plus there's been a lot less water pollution because not many people have been going on boats to get overseas.
Where do you wear masks to?
In shops.
In shops, well done.
It's whether people are throwing them away in the right way. I've seen lots on the floor outside shops, which are obviously creating a lot of litter in the area.
It's a virus.
Because of the coronavirus, but do you think it's made any difference to our environment?
Yeah. No.
Yeah? No.
And what do you think people should do?
They should stay in.
They should stay in and paint like you, is it?
I think we all really need to focus on making sure we're disposing of this plastic waste correctly. Otherwise, it's going to end up in our ecosystems, especially our marine ecosystems, where it can be severely damaging to the environment.
Since lockdowns happened, people have to stop using their cars, which stops carbon emission. And it's not just cars, it's buses, planes, trains, taxis, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, good job protecting the ozone layer. Good job, people.
In the UK, at least in my lifetime, we have been privileged and lucky enough to not have experienced anything with the same or even similar level of widespread disruption. As a result, I feel like people are being more conscious about the decisions that they're making and their long-term impact on the environment. Therefore, I believe if we try to improve on these negative impacts and try to keep up the work with our positive ones, we're able to make a better environment.
You know the question I want to ask you, just a second. What do you think COVID-19 coronavirus, has done to the environment?
Oh, that was great, wasn't it? Wow. I really enjoyed the cameo of the cat in one of the videos. Ollie, do you think, what's the main message that you would like people watching today, people in the audience, to take from that? Because I mean, so much of commentary about the impact that the last year and a half will have had on young people and children. There's a lot of focus obviously on the negative mental health impacts, this really unhelpful phrase, I think, in terms of like, oh, how are they going to catch up? I don't like that phrase at all. I think it could become fulfilling. But actually what was quite pleasantly jarring about that was that they are, like what we were talking about earlier, about this window of opportunity, these glimpses into other worlds that Aaron Haddy Roy have been talking about. Gosh, when for young people and for children, their experience is obviously that because they've had fewer years, everything will be so magnified. And so I guess that also the glimpses of what is possible, they are magnified too. And what seems possible, the parameters will be so much wider for children. What do you think the main message is that you'd like people to take from it?
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, hopefully people can see. I mean, we tried to put logic towards the format of this programme, and those videos were very much, and what we're so encouraged by the work of TEC Cymru is actually young people have a voice within this work and how it's designed. And we've certainly known that through the research that they've done along the way around reporting of what they had to do very, very quickly in terms of response to the pandemic. So I think that's important around how organisations have the voice of young people at the heart of their work. And I know that becomes a bit cliched, but it's really, really true. And I think the other thing which we'd be really keen for people to take from today is we consciously had this morning session based upon people who were taking action locally in very different ways, from Ian's work to Catherine's work. Obviously, we had Poppy as well speaking this morning, and Hav around alliances and what organisations are doing, and also that consideration around home working and how we're all having to adapt. So I think it is about that, and what you mentioned is that word about empowerment, and what little things that people can do. So Catherine's top 10 list around what people can do as a mental health professional worker in their environment, about little changes they can make, right through to being actually a bit inspired by community action, as Patrick's and Martin set out in their video, and the work they're undertaking. So it is that, it's about the messaging we put out there. We know the impact, we're better understanding the impact, and we've got experts who are looking at that and can articulate it very, very well. But it's also about that message about empowerment and what small changes we can make, and then also what political changes we can make as well.
Oh gosh, absolutely. And don't worry, I'm very much taking these things on board. But actually, and that is such a lovely contrast. Well, I don't know if contrast is right. It's such a lovely juxtaposition almost between, yes, the expertise and how to articulate how to articulate these issues in the very particular and articulate way. Sorry, that's not a very articulate way of putting it, but putting across these incredibly complex issues and looking at them in a very nuanced way, and then the juxtaposition of that and all the expertise that we've been hearing from the mouth of babes, with the, children have this unique ability to be able to just distill something down to its bare bones almost, to be able to
completely
say, well, yes, the cars haven't been out and the buses, so good job, people, that's exactly what we need to be doing. Yeah, all politicians need to be seeing these videos, I think. Yeah, no, I thought that was really, really good. And also it was funny as well. There were so many elements of it, and we do need to, I think we all need to remember this as well, because I know that, and that's one of the big contrasts and tensions, I suppose, at the heart of what we're all talking about today, that yes, these issues can feel so overwhelming, that the danger is that they could overwhelm us, but we have to have like almost the intransigence of hope and determination, and how collective endeavor can make a difference.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. It's I think what you mentioned about young people simplifying messages, sometimes they're our experts, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you so much. Now,